Okay, is the volume good? Yep, awesome. Welcome. I'm glad to see you guys today. Happy beginning of April. And I hope you all had a really good spring break, Easter, whatever holidays you had going on. So I'd love for you to share in the last week, in the last 2 weeks since I've seen you. I imagine you may have had like extra family time for better or worse. And all the things I want you to share if you reflect back on the last 2 weeks and just really reflect back honestly on the last 2 weeks. What was your biggest learning? What did you learn? What did you discover about yourself, about people? What lesson has the last 2 weeks taught you? And then when you have yours, write it down, take yourself off mute, share. What lesson has the last 2 weeks taught you? I'll share mine first while you guys think about it. So I think that the biggest lesson I learned the last 2 weeks is that there's perfection in your imperfections. And things don't have to be perfect. Like sometimes B plus in 10 areas, right, is better than A plus in one and F in another. So looking at like good, great, better, right? When you look at your life and to have like a truly balanced life, what I'm learning is in order to have a truly balanced life, it may mean that some areas that maybe I was playing at 100% or A plus are gonna have to downgrade a little bit, right, in order to step up in other areas. And that's okay to do a great job across the board rather than a fantastic job in one area and then just barely get by or be going through the motions or on autopilot in another area. And what I'm finding is like the more I have grace, right, with myself, the more that people around me have grace and it opens up space to just be human. Like it's okay to be human and not perfect in all of these areas, right? As long as we're willing to take responsibility and course correct. Like if you make a big mistake in the office or at home, like it's actually okay, right? And I think sometimes we can be the hardest on ourselves and we punish ourselves over and over again for not being perfect, all the while not realizing it was good or even great, you know? Have you ever had those experiences with patients where you have a day and you just feel like you didn't do very good, or you were on autopilot, or you could have done better, you could have delivered better, and you're really hard on yourself? And then maybe a patient comes up to you and says, this really helped me, or you said this and it changed my life, that type of thing. So it just shows you that even when you don't feel great, or feel like you're playing at 100%, you can still impact, you can still make a difference, and you are still doing a really good job. And I think sometimes the thing that blocks us from doing even better is just the belief that we're not doing good enough. So that was my big lesson, and I want to encourage you guys to really step into that belief, whether today you're doing good, great, or amazing. Give yourself a pat on the back, have some grace, and really step into the confidence of where you're at. And I think you'll find that that will propel you and energize you to maybe creep that up even a little bit more. So I want to hear from you guys the last 2 weeks. What was your biggest learning? What did you learn or discover, whether it's beautiful, ugly, or something in between? What did you learn and discover about yourself, your coworkers, your family? What was your lesson?
Hello, I had something to share. I'm Christine here with
This
Sophie.
is our new CA that I told you about.
Oh,
We hired them.
Yes.
Yeah, great to be with you.
welcome.
I
So
think
happy.
that's thanks. I think that's the second time I've been on the call. So, as far as what I've been learning, I use what's called the Neurocycle app to do personal growth and development. So
Mhm.
I've gone through what you were talking about, which is where that mistakes are okay and
Yeah.
lessons and are valuable, and it's okay that I'm not perfect. There are opportunities for growth. So the thing that I've been working on for the last 63 days was that things that I was fearful of.
Uh-huh.
And it started with, I was going on a ski trip and I was scared to death of hurting myself and falling, the fear of falling. Just, but it's carried over to other things in my life. So here's the affirmation statement that I've been preaching to myself. I can face my fears. They make me stronger, build character, and are an opportunity for personal growth. Fear might make me uncomfortable, but fear isn't dangerous. I'm capable of solving any problems. Solutions are possible. I'm safe in this very moment. So it carried over because
Good.
for other things that I was afraid of. And one of them was sharing my faith with my neighbors. And so I've actually started to do that. And it was really scary. But because I'd gone through this with this statement about not being afraid of falling and hurting
Christine.
myself, it's like carried over to other things. So I think, again, for me, challenging conversations, and we might have some of
Yes.
those with patients, but calm ourselves. There is a solution if we just think through and, have the courage to have those challenging conversations with patients.
Amazing. 100%. I love that so much. My favorite thing is you said fear isn't dangerous.
Right.
I'm safe. Fear isn't dangerous because it's just a feeling, right?
Yeah.
Like, and we do that all the time with conversation. Who, like, honestly, who here? Give me a thumbs up, a high five, whatever, a raised hand. Who here has had that fear of conversations with patients? Like, oh, we're going to talk about money now, or we're going to, and you just have this like little trigger and you actually feel fear in your body. And how cool to really come into resonance with fear is not dangerous. You're not in danger. It's a feeling, just like joy or anger, like all these things that we feel fear is not dangerous. I am safe now. I feel like even saying that little teeny part of your mantra, if anyone here could take that part away and say that when you feel yourself feeling uncomfortable going into a conversation with a patient, that alone calms you. Like, try it. Everybody here, try it. Like, fear is not dangerous. Just say it to yourself. Fear is not dangerous. I am safe. You can actually feel, or I'll ask, did anyone besides me feel like a calming internally, like just a settling, a little bit saying the words and hearing the words, then it goes in. That is so powerful. Thanks for sharing. That's awesome. I'm glad I asked. Great. Okay, who else wants to share? What was your lesson? And it's okay if it's like super little. I know that was like mind-blowingly amazing. Don't feel insecure if it was like a little or something you had to kind of dig up because I asked the question. Because all of those things matter, and it might be like the two words that someone else here needs to hear. So do share.
So mine is, in the past, I have had a bad habit of comparing myself to my peers or like people I know, people I went to school with,
Yes.
and feeling like they're so much like farther ahead than me. Like I should be farther ahead. I should be more like where they are. I recently reconnected with an older friend of mine, and I follow her through social media, and like I know like what's been going on, and from the outside like her life looks amazing, like she started her own business, like she's thriving. And talking to her, like I found out like she's actually in crippling debt, and you just
Yeah.
don't know that on
Yeah.
social media. And so I'm like, you know what, like I used to and like that's horrible, like that's sad for her, but like on social media you portray that like, oh my gosh, like everything's great. So like don't
Yes.
compare yourself to a situation that you don't really know. And everyone walks life at their own pace, and everyone gets where they're supposed to be going at a different time. So don't rush it. I mean, do your best. That's all you can do, and enjoy where you are.
It's so beautiful. It's so perfect. And you know how we've talked about like framing and reframing things, it's so brilliant what you're sharing because in social media, you're just seeing like a teeny, teeny, teeny part of the pie, right? Like if you were making a pie and I just showed you like 1/2 cup of sugar and that's it. And I was like, here's my pie, this 1/2 cup of sugar, like taste it, it's super sweet. Who knows if I accidentally used baking soda instead of flour? You know what I mean? So it's just like this way that people can really frame um it's so fake. Like the whole thing is fake and everybody's marketing and I think it's good to like draw, inspiration, but not judgment on either way because we can really use social media to judge others or judge ourselves. So that's really cool. It's powerful. I had an experience if I can share with you guys. I had like my bestest friend in the whole world. We grew up together. Our moms were pregnant together. We did everything together our whole lives, like family holidays we celebrated together. We were college roommates together, like literally cradle to grave friends. And then I met my daughter's dad through her husband, and they were best friends. And so in the dissolving of mine and his relationship, this couple, my best friend and her husband, were arguing a lot about us, in our relationship. And so her husband told her, like, hey, like to save our relationship, we're just going to not be friends with either of them. And I got to tell you, like, that was the biggest heartbreak of my life, so much worse than the heartbreak of a romantic relationship, because this was like my love for life. Like, I'd do anything for her. You know what I mean? And like, we had such deep connection. And I recently, just a couple of weeks ago, had the experience to meet her at the beach, and she has 2 kids now and is pregnant with her third. I have a kid. I'd never met her kids. Like this happened just about 4 or 5 years ago. And we're sitting there and she's talking and telling me about her life. And she's so negative. Like everything she says is in a negative frame and a victim mentality. And I kind of remembered that feeling of being in her life. And like I was the balance, right? Like the positive one that balanced out her negative, and we kind of balanced each other out and grew together that way. And what I realized is like, hey, this biggest heartbreak of my life ended up being the biggest gift of my life, because I had to step away from that. And then for the last 5 years, I felt so heartbroken, like she left me or grew out of me, as a friend, like grew out of me. And then I realized what had happened is I'd actually grown out of her. Like she's not a person I would pick as an adult to be friends with. Like she's someone that I definitely wouldn't choose to have in my life at this point in life. And so like as painful as it was, I realized that this was all working for me, and it opened up space for amazing friendships and relationships that I have now. And yeah, it's interesting because sometimes when we're in it, we can't see the things that we need to let go of and the things that are really working for us. Erin and Rita, did you share? Erin and Rita, what lessons did you learn this week or last week? What was your biggest lesson if you kind of reflect back?
For me, it was just that keeping with something can really pay off in the end. Just, that whole like, just sticking with it.
Yes.
We were talking about things that are uncomfortable before, having those discussions, and just, you can get through this, and there will be good things on the other end.
Beautiful. What was the example that taught you that lesson? Like, what have you stuck with and now you're starting to reap the reward?
Basically, it was I started dog walking about 6 months ago. And
Nice.
actually started losing weight doing it. Amazing. So I'm getting paid and losing weight. So that was just because I didn't think it would get there. I'm just walking.
Yeah.
But then it really does translate into the workplace, because, we were going through old accounts and trying to get a handle on a lot of stuff in the office. And it's not like, it's the absolute not fun part of working. And there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, we went through it all. We're getting things tightened up, and so that too is working well.
Beautiful. I love it. I remember that with inactive calls, like doing the inactive call list at the end of each month and making those calls. And some people I'd called like 20 times over a year's time and thought like, and felt so hopeless. And then those were the very people that eventually, like, I remained faithful and consistent, checked in with them and saw how they were doing and just kept remaining faithful. Eventually, almost all of them came back. You know what I mean? And like, or brought family or referred other people. Like, so many of them, just because I checked in, were referring other people and building our practice like a team member almost. Do you know what I mean? So it's really cool to see like that faithfulness does pay off. Thank you for sharing that. That's so powerful. Okay, Rita, would you like to share with us your lesson the last 2 weeks? What have the last 2 weeks taught you?
Yeah. So I think kind of what what's her name? The one about comparing yourself.
Yes, Miranda.
So I've been trying to work on myself and trying to stay in shape. I was going to the gym like 2 times a week, but I was just going for not the right reasons.
Mhm.
And well, I just started running outside and doing things to make me happy. And yeah, like body positivity and trying to just better myself in every way I can, like mentally, emotionally, and physically, you know? So yeah, that's all I got.
Super beautiful. So it sounds like you've been creating like new positive habits. And there's such a pattern here of like everyone just trusting their intuition, doing what they like, doing what feels natural. And then, like Erin shared, like making more money and looking hotter because
Yeah.
and so it's important to listen to that and like do what feels natural. I love it. Anyone else want to share that hasn't shared lessons the last 2 weeks? What have the last 2 weeks taught you? I know a lot of you had kids home from school, you had vacation, maybe Easter with your family, or maybe juggled kids home from school, no childcare, and twice as much work. So what lessons did you learn? Anyone else want to share? Okay. So why do we do this? Why did I choose to start today after this big break from seeing each other with this? And that's because I wanted to share with you guys the real power of reflection. If we don't stop and take a moment to pause and say, hey, what did I learn here? What did I discover? What can I appreciate? Oftentimes, we not only miss out on the lessons, but we miss out on the gifts of life and like the true joy and the true zest that propels us. So I know a lot of times in practice or even in these calls, right, or with your coach, we're looking at like, what can we work on? What can we improve? What can we make better? Like, how can we optimize or systemize the system? But it's equally as important as it is to train and up your game. It's equally as important to reflect and appreciate all the beauty and all of the incredible things and the lessons that you've learned. And what I found, the more I take time to do that, the more the to-dos and trainings and things we need to do tend to just slip away because you're more efficient and more grateful in the lesson, right? So if I'm like, okay, my doctor's asked me to train, attend this coaching call, watch these training videos, do this, do that, do this, do that, and learn this new system and convert these patients from, physical to digital and all of these things. If you just go, 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 drive, 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 that's going to lead to burnout. But if you take the time along the way, stop, appreciate, enjoy the lessons, enjoy the process, then you'll find that those to-dos are easy and fun and you're actually seeing the benefit. So asking the question, like, how is this working for me? How is this benefiting me? Whatever you're desiring, right? If it's more, I know a lot of our personal conversations, some of you may be desiring like more income, right? Or more fulfillment in your work, more joy. go through when you're doing it to do it, actually ask the question, how can this bring me joy? How can this bring me fulfillment? How is this profiting my life? Oh, hey, and this simple task that I thought was like the boring thing, right? It's profiting my life because this is mindless work where I can actually build up my mind and strength through it. I remember like shredding papers, like converting patients from physical to digital. And I would just pray for each one of those patients and think about their lives and how their lives have changed because of chiropractic. And ended up being like my least favorite task that I hated became my favorite thing. It was like time to really connect and appreciate patients. And by the time they came in, I felt so connected to them and so much love for them. And all I did was shred their papers. You know what I mean? So that's the real power of taking that time to really reflect. So for today's lesson, we're going to jump right in to an office tour lesson for about the next 15, 20 minutes. And then we're going to do an open Q&A. And I know a lot of you and your doctors have reached out with questions and trainings that you want. So if we don't get your topic covered during the Q&A, I'm going to have Brittany put my 15-minute booking link in the chat here. Make sure that you're proactive and that you book those private trainings, because that's part of being here in this mastermind, is really to quantum leap your time as a CA and to be able to say, hey, I have this issue, I'm working on this, and I'm not quite sure how to do it. You reach out to me, you reach out to the group to see how can I really make more out of my time here? How can we make this better? And if I can't find the answer, I do a really good job at helping you find the answer or pointing you in the right direction. So I won't waste your time. I won't pretend I know the answer if I don't. So, okay. So our new patient office tour. So I wanted to share like why this is so important. This is the moment where you create a transformational experience for your patient. This is the moment that they realize, hey, chiropractic is not just about back pain. They realize, hey, I really want to be a patient here. They have the answer for me. So if you've been successful in your call and your tour, by the time they get to the doctor and the doctor is like, what we do here is very unique and different. And here's, how your nervous system, blah, blah, blah. The patient should be like, I know. Your team told me, like, let's get it, treat me, let's get started. Let's go. So there should be this really gung ho, I get it, I'm in the right place, I want to heal attitude coming from the patient by the time they get to your doctor, based off of the experience that you've had with them. And that's kind of one of those checks and balances where our chiropractors know, hey, we did a good job. Just like another check and balance is going to be when they come out of that day one, and you're checking them out, they should definitely have the overall feeling and conversation with you up front of I had more problems than I thought. I realized that I have a full spine problem. This is an overall health issue versus oh, my neck hurts. You know what I mean? So there's another check and balance where you can see if they did really good, and a place where you can check in and be aware and let your doctor know, hey, I don't think they really got it, or they seemed really impacted. They understood that this was a nervous system problem. So being able to give that feedback back and forth, especially those of you that have, let's say an associate doctor coming in that's starting, notice and be aware of the difference, right, between your primary doctor, how are patients, what's the overall vibe when they come out, versus maybe your new doctor, what's the overall vibe? Just so you can gently encourage, right, your doctor in that way and have that checks and balance or realize the difference. Because whenever an issue occurs, we always want to figure out where's the break in the chain? Was it that the office tour, we didn't really shift their thinking, and so they weren't ready to see the doctor, and then the doctor had to spend an extra 10 minutes with them, and then that backed up our whole day? So where's the break in the chain? Or could it have been on the doctor's side, right? Where maybe he wasn't as effective as he could have been in communication. They came out still didn't really get it and didn't sign up. So we want to know okay, which area is the break in the chain that we need to work on. So that's why in this mastermind, we go through every single thing CA over a year stretch to just check in. So even if you're like, I'm amazing at this, look and ask yourself, what could we do even better? Okay, I have an amazing tour. How could I make this more impactful? And I found the more impactful I was, the shorter my doctor's day ones were consistently. Like if I really connected with a patient, it was a really successful call and tour, that day one would be so short, my doctor would be out of there in 20 minutes because the patient was like, yes, 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 sign me up. Here's my card, right? Because I had initiated that process for my doctor. So I'm going to share with you 3 things. I want to share with you the key touch points in the tour. I'm going to share with you a script that is what I use. So you can pull out and say, oh, I love how she described this, or I like this, I don't like that. And I'm also going to share with you a short video, real time of me bringing a patient through the tour. So you can see tip to tail. During the video, I want you to look for a couple things. Look for verbiage you love, body language you love, and also ideas of things in the office and the aesthetic and feeling of the office. Obviously, the video was made for training purposes, so no one's in the office, right? And it's quiet. And then also we went through and described each thing in the office. So this is where you're going to look and say, am I doing this effectively? So for each section of the tour, what's the point? What's the purpose that you're trying to get across in that to make sure that you're being effective? If you don't have a tour, please have one, even if it's a 1-minute tour, a 2-minute tour, something to really soften the patient before they see the doctor. You don't want to just throw them in there as is. That's got to be a transformational experience. People, decide whether or not to buy usually within the first 8 seconds. And so they're already deciding like if this is their chiropractor or not within that first 8-second experience of walking in the office. So that's why this is so important. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to do a quick screen share here. Office highlights. So the tour should feel like an experience that creates an emotional response. They should come out feeling like, I need this, I want this. Here are a few key points I pulled for you guys. Let me put this down here. Can everyone see my screen and still hear me? Yes? Okay, great. So here are a few key points I pulled from you. You want to have that welcoming wow first impression in your tour. You want to always get permission. So I might like put my hand on my shoulder behind them and guide them with this other hand and say, may I give you a tour of our office, and shake my head while I do it. So I'm really getting their permission. The other thing that's really powerful about the tour is you are getting their agreement multiple times before they go in to see the doctor. So you're already building yes, 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 yes. They're agreeing and saying yes to the office, the practice, the care so many times with my tour. By the time they get to the doctor, like they're in yes mode, they're ready to go, ready to heal. So that's the first time they say yes to us, is when I get permission to give them a tour. There must be a shift in their thinking. They must understand that this place is unique and different, even compared to most chiropractors. So you guys will see, I even say that this is, we're very unique and different, even compared to most chiropractors. They should feel like they're in the right place. So those are the feelings that they're going to have coming out. Excuse me. I'm going to share with you 4 keys to mastering communication. I made a little acronym here for you guys called BITE. Just to remember, here's 4 things that you always want to have in your tour or just your communication in general. First one, exceptional body language. So we know in psychology, our body language accounts for 55% of our communication, what we're saying. So if you're saying you're gonna love Dr. Martinez, he genuinely cares about what's best for each patient. Notice my body language versus like, Oh, you're gonna love Dr. Martinez. He genuinely cares for, each patient. So my body language has to be congruent with the words that I'm saying. If you're saying it like it's just some script and you're on autopilot reading it, it's gonna come across that way and actually feel like you're lying. Like it's not gonna feel genuine. So you want to genuinely feel the words, be excited, nod when you're saying something good. Like we're very unique and different, even compared to most chiropractors. You're smiling. I don't know if you guys can see me on your screen, but I'm doing the body language as I'm sharing. You're smiling, you're powerful, you're giving intention, and most of all, most important thing, your posture is the billboard to your practice. So make sure your feet are grounded and rooted. Even if you're nervous, you're in your post adjustment posture, shoulders back, big smile, palms up. As you're bringing people through, like you are the representation of chiropractic, health, healing, vibrancy. So how important is it? Scale of 1 to 10, put it in the chat box. How important is it to feel health and healing and vibrancy in your body during your chiropractic shift, during your tour, during your phone call? How important is it that you feel the power of chiropractic in your body while you're in that office? Super important, right? So do whatever it takes. If you need to put yourself on the schedule, make a plan with your doctor to get adjusted before the shift or whatever you need to do to make sure that you are feeling and living and breathing the chiropractic message as you're delivering it. Second one is intention. The difference between influence and manipulation is intention. So write that down in your notes. To really influence a person, our intention must be pure, right? Like, okay, I'm going to learn all these cool NLP tricks I've learned from Haley. I'm going to implement and these cool things, that my doctors learned and scripts and tricks and hacks to human behavior. But the most important part here is, what is your intention behind it? Is it to do good, trick someone into care? No, of course not. Your intention is to really help this person become healthy and whole and the best version of themselves, or whatever your personal intention is. It might be different. So I'd love for you guys to write down. Let's do it in the chat box so I know that you're actually taking notes. Write down in the chat box, what is the point of all this? What's your intention behind your role in the office? What's your intention in a tour, in a phone call? All of these things. If you were to sum it up in like one phrase, personally for you, what is your intention here? Why are you here? Why do you work here? Why do you do what you do? Why are you bringing them through a tour, a call, a reactivation? So what is your intention? Light up the chat box. Not a competition here. Just share from your heart. What is your intention in working with patients? While you do that, I'll share a bit about tone. So making sure like they can hear you, it's great volume, great tone. There's ups and downs in your tone, to keep them really engaged and motivated. And then of course, incredible eye contact. I'm super amazed when I go in and do like immersions and how much the last 5 years have made us lose the ability to have like normal eye contact with each other. It is the weirdest thing. Have you guys noticed that? Anyone besides me? I know you guys are all typing right now, but anyone besides me, raise your hand if you've noticed. You feel like culturally, we've almost lost the ability to just really have good eye contact, to really look at someone with love while we're communicating. So you are the difference for that. Beautiful. See the chat box lighting up here. Serve and adjust people in our community, get them on the road to better living, help people feel and live their best. I love it. To be a part of the patient's health journey, to allow them to feel safe and accepted, have and concern and love when we have them. I totally forgot I was on screen share. You guys can read it yourselves. I'm reading to you the chat box. Okay, so then exceptional eye tone every time. And then a couple other things I want you to notice, like in the tour, notice the key points. Like there's a spot where we specifically compliment the doctor, compliment the office. there's a spot where I specifically bring up, you know, the symptom that the patient told me about on the phone and how we've helped patients with that. So even if you're following a script, you're really customizing to this patient's health journey and building such confidence and certainty in them about the care that you provide. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Can you guys still see my screen? Yes. Now you're seeing my messy desktop. Okay, here we go. So we're gonna do a quick 5 to 7 minutes of this video here so you guys can see a little real-time action. Numbers to continue. Some of you have seen this before, but remember, mastering excellence, repetition is the mother of all skill.
We can't see the video.
You can't see the video. Oh, thank you. Zoom share.
It's frozen.
Okay. Thank you. That's helpful. How about now? Can you see it? No. Okay, well. That's not good. What's happening? Like, is it frozen? What do you see? Can someone
It
help
looks like when you went to like shrink your like slideshow, it like froze halfway. So your slideshow on mine is like halfway like to shrinking, but it's still part of it. Like you can still see half of your slideshow.
Can you see it now? Do you see the video now?
I see you. That's all.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to troubleshoot one more thing here. My daughter's been saying, "Have no fear, River is here." So I'm gonna use her catchphrase, "Have no fear, I'm here." Okay, how about now? Can you see it? Yes. Sweet. So let's go ahead and play this. I'm gonna leave it half screen just because we know it's successful. Hello, you must be Artisan. I'm Haley. We spoke on the phone.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
It's great to meet you. I know that Dr. Fred referred you. He is a phenomenal patient and he has gotten many life-changing results here. You are going to love the doctors here at Wellness Choice too. Now, I remember when we spoke on the phone, you mentioned you had some sciatica pain and then also asthma.
Right,
Mhm.
right, and also a lot of neck.
Neck pain too. Okay. Well, we help patients with those conditions every day here at Wellness Choice. So hopefully we can help you too.
Yeah, hopefully.
May I give you a tour of
Sure,
our office?
yeah.
Wonderful. We are a wellness center and we specialize in corrective and family chiropractic care,
Okay.
as well as massage therapy, nutritional counseling, and weight loss. Have you been to a chiropractor
Yeah.
before? You have? Okay. Well, what we do here is very unique and different, even compared to most chiropractors.
Okay.
We have patients getting off of their medications every day here at Wellness Choice as they build a strong, healthy life. In fact, we have a patient that just got off of his inhaler just this past week.
Oh,
So hopefully we can help you too.
yeah, hopefully.
This is our lifetime members wall. All of our patients want to become lifetime members to continue building a strong and healthy life.
Oh, cool.
And this is where we highlight patients of all ages that have been dedicated to their care, leading to exceptional results.
Great.
This is where patients perform their postural exercises that we design for them. These are called vibe plates. They use vibration technology to stimulate proprioception for muscle memory and postural correction. They also increase core strength, balance, stability, and coordination.
Okay.
Thumbs up that you can still hear and see. This is where patients receive the adjustment and where the doctors will work with you one-on-one. The types of adjustments that we offer here relieve the stress and tension in your problem areas. For you, your neck and sciatica. They also initiate the healing process of the body. Postural correction is what we specialize in. And better posture means better overall health because it facilitates proper nerve flow from your brain to all the organs of your body.
Okay.
This is where patients perform their postural exercises. These are specific exercises designed digitally for each patient's individual posture. These exercises help strengthen the muscles supporting the spine, and they increase the overall movement and maintenance of your new posture. We digitally analyze each of our patients' individual posture to come up with a unique exercise program specific to their condition.
Right.
What we do here is very unique and different, even compared to most chiropractors. We specialize in the most advanced research in postural correction and fixing any kind of structural issues. These units here are called traction machines. They help stretch the shortened ligaments and muscles supporting the spine, which increases your posture and overall health.
Right.
This is the room where patients experience rejuvenation with spinal decompression. This machine is used for patients with chronic neck and lower back pain. It helps increase the disc space and blood flow throughout the body. This is our kids' corner. Over 30% of our patients here are children. Art, do you have kids?
Yeah.
Wonderful. That's great. We see a lot of kids here.
Oh, that's great.
Choice.
That's great.
Now I'll show you the weight loss room. We also have a unique weight loss and nutritional counseling program, which helps our patients revitalize and transform their lives. It's a physician monitoring program in which our patients lose on average 2 to 5 pounds per week. The protocol is essentially protein-based, and the nutrition is strictly monitored throughout the weight loss.
Right.
Each patient is assigned a personal weight loss coach.
All right.
Many of our patients get therapeutic massages to relieve muscle stress and tension in the body and to promote the healing process. The doctors recommend specific patients get muscle work done in conjunction with their corrective chiropractic program.
Okay. Cool.
Our doctors are continuously getting invited to write for and get featured in many local magazines.
Wow.
Our x-rays are digitally analyzed with the most advanced software to date on spinal biomechanics for the most thorough evaluation of your condition. This is our new patient consultation room. If you are accepted as a new patient, your posture will also be analyzed digitally so that we can come up with specific exercises to help improve your posture and your overall health.
Sounds great.
Go ahead and take a seat.
All right.
This is our new patient application form. We don't accept every patient that walks in here unless we can guarantee results.
Okay.
Once the doctor evaluates you and understands what's causing your condition, she will make recommendations at that time.
Okay.
So go ahead and fill out this paperwork and open the door when you're finished.
Great. Thank you.
Art, can I get you some water or tea?
No, I'm good.
Okay, it was a pleasure meeting you.
You as well.
The patient tour is one of the most important things that we make sure that every single practice member, every single team member in our office actually knows how to do. It's a way to welcome anyone that walks into the office, whether they're a spouse, they're a friend, they're walking, and asking for directions or asking, what do we do here? Or anything like that. The very first thing that these patients that are walking into our office are going to experience is going to be you presenting the office and giving them your very good wow impression. So you want to be very welcoming, you want to be open, you want to be smiling, you'll want to make sure that you have that very good palm up handshake as soon as you introduce them. When you are welcoming the patient, when they first walk into the office, you'll want to make sure that they feel expected. That is why you would use their first name when you are greeting them, and you let them know you must be so-and-so. We've been expecting you. I talked to you over the phone, and you just kind of use the conversation that you've had over the phone with them to help yourself build rapport with the patient. If you know who referred them to the office, then you'll definitely want to compliment the source of referral. So if they tell you, so-and-so referred me to the office over the phone, you'll definitely want to bring that up. You'll want to have as much information as possible. So you'll let the patient know, so-and-so got great results in our office. They got phenomenal results in our office, and hopefully we can do the same for you. It is important, however, never to tell the patient that you can help them, because that's not your job. It's something that the doctor will have to sit down with them, discuss with them, and determine if that's something that they can help with. And that's something that the doctor will discuss with them later on. Once you walk up to them, of course, you know their name, and you probably know some things about their condition that you can personalize the tour for that particular person. For example, if they told you over the phone that they have lower back pain or they have neck pain or they have asthma, you're using those bits of information to make your tour personalized. Your body language is extremely important all throughout the process as well. So you would start with the handshake. It would be two-handed, and it would be palm up, and it would be very strong and welcoming with a big smile. You would introduce yourself. You would call them by their first name because you already know that. You may even bring up some of the symptoms that they have had that they've told you over the phone. I know that you're here for neck pain because you told me so over the phone. We help a lot of patients with this condition all the time, and hopefully we can do the same for you as well. One of the purposes of the tour is to establish that what we do here is very unique and different than other chiropractors and other practitioners. And one of the ways that you establish that with a patient is with your body language, with your tone, and with your eye contact. So what you'll want to do when you say the sentence that we are very unique and different than other chiropractors is you'll want to slow down your tone, you'll want to have very direct eye contact, and you're at the same time pushing your hands away from your body, showing that, the uniqueness that.
Okay, we're gonna, can you see me? Oh yeah, we're gonna stop our share there. So now we're gonna go around the room again, and I'd love for you guys to share with me, what did you learn from the videos? What were your takeaways? What did you like or you're gonna add? What are you committed to from the video? Any of those? And or what do you want to work on or train on, or what questions did you come to this meeting with? So jump in. Yeah. What do they say?
I have a question.
Yes.
Why do you refer patients to their first name and not their last name? Like, why do we say
Oh,
their first name?
that's a good question. There's no particular reason, to be quite honest. It's like how I tend to communicate, unless they have a title, like if it's, yeah, so do however you communicate, like if you would normally say like Miss Jules or that type of thing. Also, sometimes it's hard to know if it's a Miss or a Mrs. or what their title is. So yeah, I honestly didn't really think about it. It's just kind of what authentically came out. But if someone has a title and I know that, I will refer to them with their title.
Oh, okay. Because I worked at a previous chiropractic office, and they would always say Mrs. or Mr. and their last name. They wouldn't say their first name. So the office that I'm working at now, they say their first name. And I never, ever, 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 ever call somebody by their first name. So I don't say their first name. I'm like, hey. Hey, you. Just because it feels weird, to call someone older than me. Hey, John, I don't know.
Totally. Oh, that's good that you know that, like, about yourself, and you probably had awesome parents that trained you to have good manners. So I would say just use what's authentic to you. If you want to be like Miss Jules, go for it. You'll probably find a lot of people will be like, oh, just call me Haley. So then you'll have to make the mental notes of what people want to be called and then act accordingly. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good question.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What did you love from the video, or what questions do you have? What topics do you want to train on? We're jumping into a new quarter.
For topics I need training on, if there are any scripts for getting people to commit to a schedule, getting patients to, like, obviously frequencies higher at the beginning, everybody, and they give me a little pushback and I cave immediately. If they're like, no, I don't know what my schedule is next week. I have to get back to you on it. I'm just like, oh, okay. I so often let them dictate terms, and I know I have to get away from that. So I was hoping for a few tricks of the trade.
Yes. Has anyone else had that before where you're like, Okay. So it's super important to establish yourself as an authority figure in scheduling. Like you are the master of your schedule, and you've got to have like more authority in your schedule than their yoga teacher does. You know what I you know what I mean? Or whatever else, because then they're going to prioritize other things that really aren't more important than their health and healing. So my favorite one is, write this down, everybody, because everyone can use this. The way it works in our office is ... The way it works in our office is ... Notice my energy and smile behind saying that, right? Like, oh, the way it works in our office is ... So it's okay to say that. Like the way it works in our office is patients reserve their days and times in advance, or the way it works in our office is our patients are on reoccurring schedules. So what that means is you get to come in 3 times a week at the same time, at 8:45, 3 times a week, or 10:45. And then don't ignore what they're saying. So if they're like, I only get my schedule every 2 weeks, I will then follow up with that with saying, I understand you only get your schedule every 2 weeks. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's get your reoccurring days and times on the schedule just to reserve the time slot so you don't lose your time. Then every 2 weeks, what day do you get your schedule? They're like Friday. Okay, so every 2 weeks, every Friday, as soon as your schedule comes out, call me and let me know if any of those pre-existing times don't work for you, and we will do whatever it takes to help you reschedule those. So like they still have to schedule, right? And then they can move the time and day. Does that make sense? Perfect. Okay. So don't be like, this is what we do, and just ignore what they're telling you of like, oh, we can only come in once a week, or I'm sorry, we only get our schedule once a week, whatever that is. But people usually know their schedule for at least a week. It's super rare that they don't know their schedule like tomorrow. You know what I mean? There are some unique cases, but still you want to get them on there. Obviously, because it's going to help you track it better and hold them accountable. And then to go the extra mile. So notice how when they only get their schedule every 2 weeks, I put the responsibility on them. So when you get your schedule, make sure you call us immediately after. So additionally, I'm marking my calendar and my schedule for that patient. I'm marking reminders on Friday that if Sammy hasn't called me, I'm calling Sammy, right? And I'm going to remind Sammy, like at least for the first couple months they're under care till it's just habit. I'm going to make sure and then hold Sammy accountable. So if you have to keep calling them on Fridays, when Sammy comes in, I'm going to say like, hey, Sammy, you forgot to call me again. Make sure to call me. Like, I don't want to have to beat you to it, or whatever your communication is with Sammy, like make sure you're holding them accountable to schedule and reschedule on their own. But I'm still going to have my net, right? I'm still going to do my job and make sure they get scheduled no matter what, even though I'm building the responsibility on them. Cool. Great question. Anything else, guys?
We were talking yesterday with our doctors actually about just us being really family oriented, and like we're not really on a marketing sense like just trying to get like random people. Like our office is definitely more like referrals. And so we were wanting to really figure out how to focus on that, like focusing our energy on, we have so many families, but like we also have people that they just come by themselves, but they're married and have kids and they're not under care. And so we're really wanting to turn our energy and attention to that and just figuring out the best way to go about it. Like when's the appropriate time to bring it up? How often do we bring it up? Like without it feeling like we're jumping down their throat, but also, and like, hey, John, when is, so-and-so going to come in and get checked, that sort of thing. So we're just kind of on this, like, we're really wanting to get more of our families under care, just because we feel like that is our practice. Like that's really what we do. So
Totally.
yeah.
Oh, good. That's a great question. So have you heard of the hero's journey?
No.
Like in literature, if you look at like almost any great story or a great movie, there's a hero's journey, right? And someone in the movie is a hero that like rises up. Like think of like Mulan or like I've been watching some Disney movies lately, right? Like there's always a hero, like an underdog, and they rise up and they take action and like save the day and change the world. Even in like non-theatrical Disney shows, like there's always this hero's journey, right? So I love to use that in my communication. So it may not be enough to just like scatter on social media all these family testimonials and tell your patients all these family testimonials. When I'm communicating to a patient who has not brought their family in, I'm going to frame all of these things, family care, as a hero's journey. So I would say something along the lines of, like, oh, did you hear about our patient of the month, Jenny, right? Jenny came in, she'd gotten great results for years. She really knew that this worked. And then one day she realized if she was going to have this incredible life for herself, like she wanted it for everybody that she loved and cared about. She brought in her kids and her husband and blah, 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 blah. And look, now her kid is patient of the month because they had, couldn't sleep through the night. They had colic and now they don't. So see how I'm just framing it a little bit different so that we're focused more on like the person that I do the same thing for referrals. If I have a patient that hasn't referred, I will share a powerful story or testimonial about a patient that did refer. And you want it to be a story that kind of mirrors theirs, So maybe if it's a patient that's been under care for a month, that might be a story I tell like, oh, Susie was under care for, a month or a couple months, couple weeks, however you want to say it. And then she realized like she not only trusts us with her health, but the health of her family, and she realized this, realized that. And then I'm not even going to be like Captain Obvious and be like, so when are you going to bring in your family? You know what I mean? Because then they're going to feel like they're always getting sold. Just share it. Be excited about it.
Yeah.
And then let them have their aha moment. Then they'll just be like, I should really bring in my daughter. And you're like, that's a good idea. You know what I mean? So sometimes you don't need to like hard sell, just tell the truth.
Yeah.
Tell the truth and frame it in a way that's going to be meaningful to the person that you're listening to. Okay, so we're gonna hop off today, but in the chat box, copy paste. Brittany has posted my 15-minute link. Just make sure that that's something that you have. I believe it's in the welcome email for this mastermind. If you go back and flag that, make sure you have that so when you need it. You also all have my personal cell phone number. Call anytime. Don't hesitate. I love it. Like, I love it. If I get a call on a Sunday night or something from a chiropractor or see, like, reach out, call. I almost always have my phone on me. You don't have to necessarily have an appointment. Like, I'm dedicated to this group and you guys have access. So use it when you need it. You're awesome. I'll see you guys later. Did you get what you came?
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, good. See you
Have a
later.
great day.
You too. Bye.